the season start?
What is going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday evening. This is the latest episode of the Empire State of Mind podcast. I have my original OG co-host from last year. We figured out a way to make it work on a Tuesday. It's been a long time. You asked me as we were coming live, when's the last time we talked? I think it was, I think it might have been preseason.
It was it had to have been before the season started. Yeah.
Yeah, and I kicked the intro on, and I was like, I heard you say it. I'm like, oh, sorry.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. All good. Love that intro, man.
Thanks. I picked the Wonder Woman intro.
Yeah.
I found a what do you call, like, a one where I won't get in trouble for. It's awesome. Some guys just playing electric guitar. But hey, man, it's been a while. Last time I talked to you, the season hadn't started yet. And now the Niners are 4-1. And there's been a lot of talk about what else. We're 49er fans. We've been living in this since 2017. Quarterback talk, quarterback controversy, quarterback questions. We did a stream last Friday with the Cover 3 podcast with Sterling Bennett and Dre Area Sports, and we got into a really, I wouldn't say heated debate, but I said something I don't think Sterling wasn't ready for. Was I actually said to kind of stick with the hot hand and go with what's working right now, and until Brock is healthy, I would roll with Mac Jones and stuff, and it got a little traction on YouTube and or on TikTok too. A lot of people had a lot to say about that, so I want to talk to you about it and listen to the audience if they want to chime in. But what is Al's take on what's been going on? I'm sure you have your opinion. Are you of the mindset that the 49ers need to stick to what's working and keep Mac Jones playing as long as he's healthy? Or are you of the mindset that, like, getting Purdy back in as quick as possible? They paid him for a reason. Mac Jones, this is like, this isn't going to last. It's a mirage, all that stuff. A lot of people are saying, he's going to eventually kind of turn back into the pumpkin that he was in New England. So I want to get your take on it.
Yeah, sure. No, let's start with the word controversy. There's no QB controversy, right? It's a blessing. It's a benefit. It's an advantage. It's a windfall. I was talking about this on my show earlier today. The Niners are thrilled to finally have a backup quarterback that can come in and win games. The days of Nick Mullins and Josh Dobbs and Brandon Allen, CJ Beathard, Brian Hoyer are over. They have a starting level quarterback that's a backup. Then whether he came here to be rehabilitated by Kyle or whatever reason, Mac Jones took a 2-year, $7 million deal. He probably could have gotten more money elsewhere. In terms of riding the hot hand, so no controversy, right? There just isn't. I don't care what Mac's done with less, having so many fewer players against the Rams than maybe Purdy ever had. Purdy looked good against Seattle. He was not right against Jacksonville, and it still took 4 turnovers and a punt return touchdown and bad coverage at the end of the first half to get the Jaguars in field goal range to actually beat this Niner team, right? So a lot had to go wrong, whether people want to put it on Purdy, tipped passes, the strip sack at the end, like that stuff happens, right? The punch out that Luke Farrell had. I mean, the ball was just not bouncing the Niners' way. The ball actually bounced the Niners' way against the Rams, right? Got 2 turnovers. Both fumbles came to a Niner player. That didn't happen against Jacksonville. Where I'm at is I don't think any quarterback is going to be 100% healthy this season, or it's football. No one's 100% healthy. I don't know if they're going to be 90% healthy. I'm sure Mac's probably going to play against Tampa, right? He'll be not limping for the first quarter and a half, and the third quarter he's going to start limping again because he's going to get hit. It's a PCL sprain, and they're not giving him time to rest. Purdy came back too soon. It was a 2 to 5 week injury. He came back week 3, too early, bad luck. If Mac, like, I know you said earlier, like, do they rush him back or whatever your language was because he's the starter and you bring him back when he's able to play? Yeah, but Mac Jones playing well and winning or losing, him playing well gives you the luxury of sitting Brock another week. And if he doesn't come back against Atlanta on Sunday night, he comes back another week. That's the luxury of having a backup quarterback that's not Cooper Rush, like in Baltimore, where everything's falling apart. The defense is trash. Cooper Rush is a white boy with red hair backing up Lamar Jackson. That ain't going to work, right? You need someone like you need someone mobile. So Lamar's got to rush back. They're 1-4. Lamar's got to be coming back to make that team viable for anything. Brock can rest. And if it's because Mac is playing well, if Mac wins the next 3 starts and Purdy's resting up that toe, he's still not the starter. Like, this is a luxury that the Niners have that they haven't had in a while, since Jimmy backed up Trey Lance in 2021 or 2, whatever that was. I'm all good with how everything's rolling. And when Purdy is, I don't want to say healthy enough to play, but 2 weeks beyond healthy enough to play, comes back in.
Yeah, I mean, I was I can say I was misquoted because Dre asked the question, and I guess I just I'm of the mindset of, like, I always believe in the Larry Krueger meritocracy rule of, it doesn't matter where you're drafted, it doesn't matter how much you get paid, none of that matters. It's all about what you do to contribute. And as much as I love the fact that, Brock got paid this offseason, like, Max has done the thing that's been most important. He's helped us win. That's the bottom line. It doesn't matter how sexy it is or not sexy. We're winning games. We should be. I mean, we could be 1-4 right now. Just how close all these games have been. I do think that Brock came back too early.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Larry Krueger seemed to be like the only one that was like watching practice. He's like, am I the only one noticing that he's not putting weight on his foot and that he's sailing passes? And then sure enough, you watch the game and, I mean, everything was high. Everything was inaccurate. He looked indecisive. He didn't look like Brock. And my question is, I want to ask you, like, who's to blame for that? Is that internal pressure? Is that pressure from himself because of how Mac's playing? Like, the one thing about the 49ers that really irritates me, and I've been very vocal about the injuries, is that they always have a situation almost every single year where somebody is injured, they come back, and either they return to playing and have a setback, or they're training to come back and they have a setback.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is it? What was it? Was it, I just don't understand, because it's like he reset when he had to go back out. And now how long is he going to be out this time? Like, Joe Burrow might not be back until, December. If that, if everything goes well. So, like, with Brock, I mean, they say it's a toe variant, like a turf toe variant. What does that mean? I don't know. I don't know who to be mad at with the 49ers. So every year the injury excuse is always here. I'm sick of it. But this one with Brock is exceptionally irritating because, like, who was behind him coming back? Because he didn't look right. You can make the comment that he's had some struggles since last year with the turnovers and stuff, and it's continued even in when he was healthy in the beginning of the Seattle game. He threw a couple passes that he shouldn't. So, like, I feel that that's a fair criticism. I feel like Mac does a better job of taking care of the ball. I think Mac, gets to his checkdowns and trusts them, whereas Brock has a little bit more of a gutsy, as they call a gunslinger mentality, where he likes to throw the ball to maybe the harder read. But I don't know. Like, I would love to get your take. Like, You think he pushed himself to come back too early? I don't think you can really blame Kyle and John on that, can you?
If the medical staff cleared him to play, and I'm sure maybe Brock was pushing to play, but remember they were 3-0 at the time. So what's the internal pressure for him to come back? 0-3 going up against a pretty good Jaguar team. Yeah, I could see maybe, and if Mac's not looking good, but every win that they achieve gives a little bit more cushion for Brock to get right because Mac's not right. His knee, I mean, if he starts the next 3 games, say the next 2 games, Tampa and Atlanta, that knee's taking hits. He's not going to come out of either one of those games with his knee better than he went into it. So he's going to be worn down. But they're rolling with whoever's healthier at this point. Obviously, Brock is not, but I don't think it was internal pressure given the state of the record and how the team was playing. And let's not forget too, like every quarterback, that every game's been a 1-score game. And the 4 wins, every quarterback needed help. Brock needed the strip sack at the end against Darnold. Week 2, they needed the strip sack against Spencer Rattler on that last drive. And Rattler was having like a career day against that defense. They were essentially running and passing at will and could only not move the ball when the Niners knew it was an obvious passing situation in the last 2 drives of the fourth quarter. Arizona, they kind of get lucky with Upton Stout breaking up that pass to Zay Jones on 3rd down to force the punt. And then Max drives him down the field. And then, Brock comes back against Jacksonville and people are going to get on him for the turnovers and whatever. Everything broke Jacksonville's away. Jacksonville got so many, between the turnovers and everything, and to only beat the Niners by 5. I'm not going to say it's a credit to Brock, right? But between Saleh and Shanahan and putting their players in the right position with no pass rush, right? Like nice. The Rams carved the Niners up when McVay voluntarily stopped running the ball because he said, shit, no one's getting to Stafford. The only way we're going to they're slowing down our passing game is if we get a holding call on our line. Yeah. So, and they were running the ball at almost 5 yards a clip. And 5 runs in the second half and overtime by the Rams. 5. And that's when the game was closer. So offensively, wherever Brock is going to be at, or Mac Jones, Mac has had some really good performances to be a big part of the wins. But it's not like Mac came out guns blazing and they're beating teams 42-10. They needed 2 turnovers against the Rams. They needed overtime. Like they needed a blind punch out by Alfred Collins to stop a go-ahead touchdown. That was the inverse of the Jaguar game. And that's the only way they were going to win that Ram game. They got it. Good quarterback play was an absolute necessity, but it wasn't going to be Mac Jones by himself. He needed help.
So a couple people, I follow, one of them is Joe Shasky from 95.7 The Game. He talked about essentially what I've been talking about, which is playing the hot hand until the other hand is completely healthy. So this is what Joe Shasky had to say about that particular topic. Let me bring it up. Hold on a second. Here we go.
8 through 13, all right, in the 2019 season. And where I'm going at with this is that I'm looking at the quarterback play, and I'm saying to myself, right now, teams win and lose, right? But there's something to be had with the momentum that they've got going on right now. The season, we want to say, oh, it's super long. It's week to week. And you got to ride the momentum, and you got to ride the wave. And I look at this team right now, and for whatever reason, they're humming, both offensively in terms of the pass game with a bunch of nobodies, and then, like, the team feels very connected camaraderie-wise. I think you need to bottle this up and ride it out as long as you can. And where I'm going is this. Mac Jones is my quarterback until he loses a game. Forget even talking about Purdy. This means nothing about Purdy. This is all about Mac Jones. This has nothing to do with the contract. This has nothing to do with big picture. I don't want to talk about next year or later on down this year. I'm just riding the Mac Jones wave until he loses a game. And then when he loses a game, all right, we'll pivot right back over to Purdy, or we'll see where he's at in terms of his health-wise and all that. Like right now, Mac Jones is the quarterback until he loses.
So he's even got a little bit of a more of I guess you could say it's less about health and more about just riding the hot hand, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, I agree with some of this. Yes, it is a week to week league. I don't believe in momentum. Where was the momentum for Jackson Dart and the Giants going into New Orleans, right? They won in at home against the Chargers. Everyone, Jackson Dart, and of course Malik Neighbors getting hurt, affected some things. I don't believe in momentum week to week. I think there's just too many variables between the matchups and how D coordinators are going to maybe scheme you based on what you saw last week. Good weeks of, oh yeah, they had a good week of practice. That's going to carry over into the game. How often have we seen that not be the case?
I rarely seen, anytime you hear that, and at least anytime I've ever heard that with the Niners, at least like maybe last year because they were so bad, we had a good week of practice. Like, yeah. And then you came out and you played a team that wasn't your, the people that in the building, and you got your ass totally whipped, So yeah,
it's rare that you hear that they've had a bad week of practice, even after a loss. I don't know if I've ever heard a team like, "Oh,
you're
yeah,
never
even
going
this week
to
in practice we were flat. Like we knew we were going to lose this game." Like it's all coach, it's all coach speak, and I understand like where he's coming from and his rationale with playing Mac Jones until he loses a game. But then what is that if that's the only way that Mac's going to come out, it just feels like a crappy way of pulling your backup because he lost a game, but might have won 4 or 5 before that. Like, I don't think that's the right reason to pull Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones comes out when Brock Purdy is as close as he can be to 100%, given the fact that, if you're going to heal turf toe or even a PCL sprain, like you got to be off that for probably a month, right? Like no football activities, no practice, no anything. And on top of that, they're getting hit by really big dudes. Like there's no way this stuff's going to heal. And everyone says if Brock can protect himself, how do you protect yourself from not getting tackled? Like he could jam his toe sliding, trying to get down. Like there's just so many ways that both Mac and Brock can get hurt. I mean, what would be great is, Mac plays well the next, let's just say 2 games, maybe 3 games to get Purdy fully healthy. Purdy comes back in and is healthy for, say, the rest of the way. That gives enough time for Mac to get fully healthy if Brock gets dinged up again. So I think when the Niners are definitely now going to err on let's give Purdy more time. And I wonder, I'm sure this isn't the case, but let's just throw it out there. I wonder if giving Kittle another week had anything to do with what happened with Brock and getting re-injured, because you would think maybe like 4 weeks for a hamstring, although they never said the severity, right? I don't think they said grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, but I figure like, oh yeah, once the 4 weeks are up, he'll probably be back. But Kittle's a long shot for Tampa. Okay. If he's a long shot for Tampa, what is he, a medium shot for Atlanta? Like what is that?
That's the one. Yeah. I don't understand that at all. Like, what does that even mean? So is he ready is he close to coming back or not? Like what's the status?
And meanwhile, obviously, they were very coy about Brock, even after the turf toe happened. Oh, he's got a chance. We'll see. We'll see how the toe progresses. It's Wednesday. We'll see. He's got a chance.
Remember Brock saying he would if it was, he said it on a Tuesday. If today was the game, I couldn't. But if it was Thursday, I'm still really confused on what happened there. Like what happened there? Like what was the reasoning? Was it Brock being stubborn and just wanting to play? And I'm saying like, okay, it's your, I hate saying the word your, or the saying your funeral, but it like, cause he said it before the game, Thursday. And then of course he wasn't even close to coming back.
Right.
From what Kyle made it sound as he re-aggravated, essentially reset the injury to the beginning to where he's got to get back to where he was previous and then progress from there. So, it's funny. I think both Brian Baldinger and Shasky are more of the ride the hot hand.
Mm-hmm.
I was more or less like until Brock is feeling 100%.
Yeah,
I don't want to see him in the lineup. And at the same time, ride the hot hand. Like if he's winning games for you, like don't put Brock back in harm's way until you absolutely have to. So I want to listen to what Brian Baldinger had to say. I would assume it's more of the same, but sure. I want to give it a listen anyways.
crazy. I'm not running Brock out of town. I'm not benching him. It's just I'm going to ride the hot hand as long as we can and as long as it's going. What do you think of that?
Well, I don't disagree with that at all. I really don't. And that's not a knock on Brock. But if he's 95%, why put him out there? Like, why not until you're absolutely certain that he's 100%? And if Mac wins a fourth game, against a very good Tampa team, then I would definitely leave him in at this point. You said so. I believe in riding the hot hand. It just happens. It's not. You're not trying to usurp somebody, but your job is to win as many games as you possibly can, however you do it. And you cannot be worried about any player egos or anything else. I mean, Mac's playing great football right now. And so, I don't know, I wouldn't be in a hurry to make that change.
See, I'm with you. And I think people, they get so emotional regarding Purdy. And it's like, guys, you're overthinking it. I'm not burying the guy. He's not healthy right now. And I'm riding the hot hand as long as I can. Now we'll see how Mac is feeling with that lower knee injury.
Yeah. It's, to me, I'm more concerned of I think some people are concerned that this is some sort of ego thing with Brock and that the Niners need to just, be careful with not harming his ego and getting him back into the lineup. It's none of that should even be remotely on your mind right now. It should only be about health. The psychological stuff of does this affect him if Mac keeps winning? It's I don't really care. He needs to be healthy when he comes back, and then we'll go from there, and then we'll see where that takes us. Like he said it on the other clip, I can't worry about next year. I can't worry about whatever. Right now it's about winning as many games as possible. Yeah. And I don't want to jeopardize that by bringing back Brock and having him be hampered and then losing him even more. And then what? I think the Mac Jones thing is awesome right now, but in the back of my mind, Al, I'm always I'm more of a New Yorker. I'm always the other shoe's going to drop eventually with Mac Jones. The bloom will come off the rose. So it's kind of hopefully this works out as perfectly as it can. And Brock, when he's ready to come back, he comes back, plays well. And we don't even talk about the other situation.
So based on what Shasky said, what happens? Finish the sentence then. Mac Jones loses to Tampa Bay on Sunday. Who's the quarterback against Atlanta?
I'd still go if Purdy's not for me personally,
and then how do you think Shasky would answer that if he says you play Mac until he loses a game?
Question.
Does that mean then in his mind that then you rush Purdy back if he's not 100% because Mac lost the game?
It does sound like that, right? It does.
That's
like that.
to the literal letter, but that might not be his stance. Because if Brock's not ready to go, nobody should put him out there if he's not ready to go. I don't care what Mac does or doesn't do.
49ers 2025. The problem is our O-line. That I can agree with. That's why both quarterbacks hurt. And then you lost me on this one, brother. He says, worst case scenario, keep Mac Jones, trade Purdy. No, I think you have Mac Jones bring up his level of play this year and give people the feeling that they might have found he's a starting quarterback again in this league. And then you get more trade value. I would hope they don't trade him and we keep him for at least one more year for his Brock's backup. We finally found a good situation. But I'm of the mindset, Al, that if he plays really good this year and say maybe he has to play for longer than we anticipate and he does well, he has to become a bargaining chip for trade, right?
Oh, he's I'm sorry. No, yeah, he's an asset. He's not going to get traded this year. I know that the trade deadline's November 2nd. And for that viewer, thank you for watching who mentioned that, the trade Purdy thing, get that out of your mind. That is never going to happen. I'm not trying
Nor
to
do I want that to happen.
It's not going to happen. The contract, let's just exercise the cap hit that the Niners would take, even if something happened, John Lynch had a stroke and Kyle Shanahan at the same time had a stroke and be let's trade Brock Purdy. The cap hit and everything would be so prohibitive. It does not make sense at all financially, and it just logically doesn't make sense at all. But Mac Jones, after this season, is an asset. He has a 2-year deal. He signed for 2026. If a team needs a quarterback, and today, I mean, obviously, I think we all know the Bengals traded for Joe Flacco. So he was, because then I was talking about on my show, like, oh, if the Bengals offered Hendrickson for Mac Jones straight up or with a 5th round pick, would you do it? I mean, I don't think that John Lynch hangs up the phone super quickly on that. Like, but it was a theoretical. It's not really gonna happen. But I'm with you. It's Mac Jones until Purdy is, again, if you can't get that number to 100% just because he literally needs 2 months off his feet, I'm just making that up, or 4 weeks off his feet. And maybe Mac plays well enough that they give him that 4 weeks and just said, listen, Brock's not coming back for another 3 or 4 weeks. It's your job. Once he's fully healthy, then we're going to go back to him. Then that's totally okay. You just got to knock on wood that Brock, Mac's body, and especially his knee, can withstand the beating, even though he only took 1 sack against the Rams, right? He was only sacked once, but he did take some shots that caused cramping. The knee sprain eventually is going to happen again. He's our only hope. He's like Obi-Wan Kenobi in A New Hope, man. He's our only hope because it ain't Adrian Martinez.
No, Adrian Martinez. That's pretty much. Ooh, that'd be like season-ending, like disaster.
Like, there's no even need to watch the game.
No, there'd be no point. Like he's going to be dog water. He's not. The fact that man, it's just the injuries. I think if I will transition to injuries. I don't know about you, but it's been increasingly tough for me for this year after wins to stay excited, because it seems like, and correct me if you disagree, every time we win a game, we lose 4 players or 3 players.
Yep.
And it's almost like people are like, oh, you let that stuff bother you so much. It's like, yeah, you don't realize, like, you guys have to realize, like, yeah, it's a great story and all that we're persevering and winning despite all these injuries. But eventually, depending on who gets hurt, those start to actually matter. If you lose a Fred Warner or a Diamador Lenore or I don't know, Christian McCaffrey,
McCaffrey would be a death knell because Shanahan can't
you're out
without him. Yeah.
And I don't want to hear this next man up trash. Like,
no.
It doesn't have any bearing when you lose players like that. I just, for the life of me, I love my boy Raj. He posted something that the Niners are winning despite having 25 injuries. Mm-hmm. And I posted, and it wasn't directed at Raj. I said, that's not something to be proud of. Like, that's garbage. Like, the fact that every year this is a situation, like, I don't know about you. How do you look at this? Do you look at this as it's just football and everybody gets hurt, like everybody tells me? Or do we need to revisit stuff at the end of the year again with the health? I mean,
I legitimately think that there's a case to be made, even though there's no scientific proof, that the Niners are cursed on the injury front. If people want to believe in the curse of the Bambino and that whole, like, then why not it's happening. It's happening too often and in too large a number. And now we're going back-to-back years. Then you go back to 2020. They're crippling injuries. Does anyone think if the Rams last Thursday night played a healthy-ish Niner team without Stafford, without Puka, without Devontae Adams, without Tutu Atwell, and without Jared Verse and say one of their safeties or what, would that game have gone to overtime? The Niners would have steamrolled them, right? Like, there has to be some kudos given to Kyle and certainly Robert Saleh and the youth that they brought on defense. The new faces, however much he's tweaked the scheme since the last time he was a DC in San Francisco. Why it didn't happen last year was because, I guess, 3 reasons. Special teams was trash. Nick Sorensen was trash. And once McCaffrey went out, Kyle could not, and he's a very unicornish type player, but he could not replicate what McCaffrey does in the passing game. And I'm still wondering, why the hell are you trading for Brian Robinson when you're giving him 5 carries a game? He's not Christian McCaffrey, but he can catch the ball. Isaac Guerrero can catch the ball. We'll never see Jordan James at running back until there's massive injuries, and stay tuned because who knows what's going to happen with this team. But to get back to your original question about, how do I look at the injuries? I looked at the Thursday game as, you know what? The Niners are 3-1 and they could really use this game going into it, but man, they're decimated. The Rams are playing really well. This is a stress-free watch. I got zero expectations going on to this.
Same.
I was thinking about taking like when the line opened up at 3.5, Rams favored by 3.5, and it closed at like 8. I was like, I should have jumped in the Rams.
Bro, I thought we were going to get beat. My prediction when I did my show with Dre last week, on Monday, because we did the Empire State of Mind last Monday, we both went 31-13 Rams.
Oh, wow.
Like, I wasn't even like, people like, oh, you're not a real fan. You're this. Like, dude, stop. Full stop. Almost fully healthy team versus essentially 4 players and then a bunch of guys. Like, who in the Niners right now, when you look at that roster, is anything of a game changer other than McCaffrey, Lenore, Warner, CMC? That's it. That's all. Everybody else is just guys. Like, people are like, oh, what about Mykal Williams? Yeah, he's solid, but he's not like doing anything.
He might be there, get there next year or year 3, but
he's not doing anything extraordinary. Collins, he's hit and miss. CJ West, he's hit and miss. Siegel, I think he's overmatched. I don't think he should be out there
on routes. Like,
Upton Stout he's the weak link of the secondary. I mean, last week they showed the statistics. I don't have them in front of me, but like Lenore and Renardo Green shut down their guys. Everything was in the slot. Everything was like either slot or safety that gave it up. Yeah, like they did their job last week. So, like the over reliance on like this thing of like we're gonna find a way, and if you're not a real fan, if you think the injuries eventually are going to catch up to us, I find that to be asinine. I keep saying if they can stabilize with injuries and start to get more back than they lose, then you see playoffs, then you see, possible postseason run. Right now, I'm just, to be honest with you, like you said, I watched the game. Dude, I watched that game expecting us to get crushed. And like, I let myself, as usual, I let myself start getting like hopeful that they were going to win. And then towards the end, when that drive was happening, I'm like, okay, they're going to lose. I'm accepting it. And then we won almost like by accident. And I was just like, it's hard, man. Like, I don't know how to feel this year with these injuries. So,
well, that was the worst thing. Like them jumping out to 14-0, they gave you hope in the first quarter, right? And it's like, all right, they got out to a big lead. The Rams are going to chip away, and it's going to end badly. Like they're
going to lose 31-14.
Right in the beginning. Like they first 2 drives, there's no touchdowns after those first 2 drives. It's all field goals. So they the red zone issues became a problem again, all that good stuff. But I think when I picked that game, I had the Rams, I think 23-16. 1-score game. The whole season's been a 1-score game. It's a division matchup on a short week. Saleh's back. They generally play McVay pretty well. I mean, last year's games were 1-score games, and that was with Nick friggin' Sorensen and Jake Moody, dragging the entire team down. So I was confident in the Rams winning. I didn't think it would go beyond, like, and if they had won 23-13, would we have called that a blowout? No, like, 1 score, 2 scores. It was just surprising how in control the Niners were for the first half. And then the Rams started figuring out again, like, oh, we don't need to run. Let's just throw all over this team. And they did. But when you brought up injuries, all right, Kalia Davis now, broken hand. How long is he out for? Because Shanahan downplays that. Yator hamstring pull. So Kalia Davis is going to miss time, and so is Yator. I don't know if either one of them are going to go on IR just to free up a spot to bring up Evan Anderson or another pass rusher. Like it's getting.
Would you bring Valdez to the starting lineup?
I think they would probably grab Evan Anderson first, just because he's done it last year in the league. But I don't think Valdez is far behind, given the way that. Yeah, who's going to get hurt against Tampa? Like it's ironically
so sad
to say it, but it's going to happen. It's someone, even if someone gets nicked up, but someone's going to get knocked out. Someone's going to be out for the Atlanta game, a new player. It's just a matter of who.
I just don't understand how this is continually happening. Like how they cannot get a strangle. I know this year with the NFL, the injuries have been ridiculous.
Mhm.
and people love to use. I love when people come at me with like outlier situations, like, oh, well, this team is injured this year. I guess they should panic too. And I'm like, why are you using a team that has had one bad injury year when we're at we're top 10 every year but 2023, and in 2 of those years, last year in 2020, we were number 1 in the league in players hurt. Like,
Yep.
stop with this, like, trying to make it like people are over dramatizing it. I hate fans like that who like are so, they almost like people that follow like the message of like a crooked evangelizer or something,
Mhm.
and like just like they're so blinded by it, but that they can't see past what's really going on. So like some of these 49er fans, man, sometimes it's just like I have to learn to block them out. But like even people that I've seen who have been pretty positive about injuries are starting to kind of like not necessarily be as negative as me, but like almost like, oh, like they're not even defending it. Because I remember in the preseason, certain people attacked me saying, "You're making a big deal out of nothing. It's the preseason." I'm like, "Yeah, but there's 20 players hurt." He's like, "Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
the preseason. When the regular season's come back when the regular season starts." And I'm like, "Okay." So every single week when somebody gets hurt, I post the same thing to the man or the person that said I was making a big deal, blah, blah, blah. Where are you right now? And sometimes he'll come at me and be like, well, they go with the same thing. Like, this team is having a bad year. What do you say to that? And I'm like, it's a one-off. This is
Yeah.
every year. So I don't know. Stressful.
You know what? As fans, I think it puts us in a tricky situation because you can go into a game like the Rams game and be like, crap, no chance. I'm going to watch it because I'm a fan, have a beer, whatever, but I'm not expecting anything. They pull you in with the lead.
I do.
They never gave it up because Cardi missed the extra point. So the Niners led or the game was tied throughout. So the Rams never led once. And then they pull you in. And now, though, you're still watching games with like, Tampa. So Tampa goes up to Seattle. They put up 38 points on that defense. The Seahawks put up 35. I know it was a 3-point game. If I'm getting the score wrong, I apologize. It's like, all right, well, Seattle scored a bunch of points on Tampa. Tampa's missing players. Evans is out. The running back's out. Baker's balling. Mbuka is having like a great season. Godwin's slowly coming back along. You go into these games, I think, before the game going, all right, well, they're still really banged up. Like, I'd be shocked if they win this game. You can say that about any game, right?
Yep.
I thought they were going to lose against Seattle, still banged up against the Saints.
You did call that. Yep.
Run for money, the Cardinals, all that stuff. So you go into it like, crap, like, and not that it's a built-in excuse, but I would understand why they would drop a game when they're missing all these players, but then they keep it close, right? Like with the Jaguars, everything went wrong and they kept it close, and it makes you greedy for like, shit, now we need that win. Now they need that win because who knows who else is going to get hurt. You want to pile up as many wins, NFC division, as you can to give you a buffer for later on. Although later on the schedule gets easier outside of the Bucks and Texans. There's really no game that you worry about on the schedule. Maybe the Rams again in Seattle, but that's in Santa Clara. So it's twofold. It's not expecting that much, but they're playing so hard and keeping the game so close that you want them to pull it out because they're right there. And how big would it be to get another win missing all these players? And then you in your mind, the mathematics or the logic is, well, if they can pull that kind of game out against the Rams or against Tampa with just Jennings back, what happens against the Falcons when it's Jennings and Pearsall? And what happens the next week when it's Jennings, Pearsall, and Kittle? And what happens the next week when then it's Purdy? Like, your mind keeps going that way, that the arrow should always be tracking up. That's why stealing these wins are so big. Hey, Dre.
I thought he'd be sleeping right now. What are you doing up?
I'm close to being sleeping. I'd be sleeping if you didn't ask me to come on, for sure.
One of the things that I saw, I didn't find the video because I really don't like listening to Emmanuel Acho speak. He's really annoying. But there was a video out where he talked about like the real hero of all of this when it comes to quarterbacks. And he said it. We got to start giving credit to Kyle Shanahan as a coach. And I 100% agree. I mean, think of the quarterbacks this man has had to work with, and he's found ways to win with Garoppolo, Purdy, now with Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm.
He's figured out how to win games with Nick Mullins at some point. Like, people always make the thing of like, oh, he's a genius, but he can't win the big game. And they said that a lot about Andy Reid. Andy Reid is a magnificent coach. Kyle Shanahan really is a Super Bowl victory away from being right up there with some of the best coaches in the last 20 years. With what he's been able to do consistently with quarterbacks, guys that in any other system or in any other situation wouldn't be as successful, and yet he brings them to the 49ers and somehow he's able to work magic.
Yep.
Do you agree? Like, we need to start looking at Kyle Shanahan and giving him more respect that he deserves, like that he deserves more respect? Because I really think he does.
Yes, I think, I mean, and fans are going to be hot and cold on Kyle just based on the week. If they drop one to Tampa, even if it's close, people are going to want to run him out of town and
it's
whatever.
Constant. I see it all on social media all the time. When he needs to be fired, John Lynch needs to go. I'm like,
everybody needs to go because of a loss. And I'm sure John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are better at their jobs than whoever these fans are at their at their respective jobs.
You're managing a target. He is running a franchise. Stop.
That Kyle, I think people are recognizing the job that he's doing this year, because this year so far is even worse than last year. And it's not just getting the wins, but it's also the productivity on offense. Last year, a lot went wrong. You know, Purdy was there for 15 of 17 games, I think. McCaffrey not being there was just such a death knell to the offense that they were like top 5 in yards, but middle of the pack in points because red zone just became a problem. Now this year they don't have a rushing touchdown, which is just wild when the Shanahan offense is all about running the ball and you associate that. I wonder if some of it is a little bit of pig-headedness that, hey, when you get inside the 5, why don't you put your bigger back in? I know McCaffrey's a great running back, but you traded for Brian Robinson and he runs like really upright. So he gives a whole lot of target for people to hit, but he is your bigger back. Or if you want to put Grendo in, at least, you know, he's 225. Like, he's got some mass to him. The line's not opening up really. It's especially in the red zone, man. Like
they get blown. Al, there was a play last week where Connor Colby, Brendel, and Pooney all got squashed on one play. Like, push complete. Like, they're in the backwards. The backfield. They're sideways, and I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like, they're bad. Like, they're really bad.
And
like,
the game started, the first quarter, McCaffrey had some seams and he was having big yards, meaning 4 or 5 or 6 yards. But that kind of went away in the second half. The Rams adjusted. The O-line couldn't hold up. And yeah, Colby's banged up, and Trent Williams, hopefully I know 37, 38, but hopefully he's rounding into form and they can get at least this year, a good year, with him, and who knows what's going to happen beyond that. But Kyle has done the most with the least in terms of who he's missing, because again, is Shane Steichen whoever the quarterback of the Colts is? Yeah, they're 4-1. Daniel Jones's career has been resuscitated, but they're not missing the pieces that Kyle is. And I think it just goes to show it's not just play calling, it's sequence of plays, how to string plays together, how to build one good play off of another. Mac Jones is protecting the football. The defense, my new thing now, and I've thought it for a while. I think I voiced it on my last podcast or 2 podcasts ago. As much as Robert Saleh wants to say all gas, no brakes, whenever I hear that, the translation is bend but don't break, right? If you're telling me you're an all gas,
100%.
Right. All gas, no brakes is Brian Flores in Minnesota. All gas, no brakes is Jim Schwartz in Cleveland. And I really wonder, like, hey, you guys got no pass rush for 2 straight games. Congratulations. The one sack that they did get was on a blitz. Bryce Huff came free at Stafford in the first quarter. Then he only blitzed maybe 3 or 4 times the rest of the game. If you're really all gas, no brakes, my definition would be, wouldn't you just be sending it, right? Like, wouldn't that, like, it's an aggressive sounding phrase, but I don't see the aggression in terms of like imposing your will on the offense.
To me, it's all bend, don't break.
All bend, don't break. Yes. And listen, they're 4-1. It's working, But there are going to be games where that non-existent pass rush will allow a pretty good quarterback to pick that defense apart, and maybe Mac or Brock throws a pick or there's a fumble or something happens that winds up being the difference in the game. But if Robert Saleh's defensive line is not going to be able to affect quarterback A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever going forward, there are going to be games where it's going to spell doom for San Francisco. Like they've gotten somewhat lucky, but I mean, they lost the Jaguar game that was without Bosa, and the Ram game, they got 2 turnovers and control time possession. Things went in their favor. But if things continue like this without making a move, or I don't say drastically changing the defense, but blitzing 2 or 3 times as much as they are, the losses are going to happen when quarterbacks are going to have enough time like that.
Yeah, as much as I love what's going on and I'm stealing wins and stuff, I mean, and as much, like I said, I want to give Kyle credit for everything he's done with quarterbacks. Like, it's not sustainable what's happening right now. It's just not sustainable. When you're going to go against great teams, like if you go against a team, I'm trying to think of the NFC right now, like a Detroit Lions team, like who can throw the ball over the yard. That non-pass rush is just not going to work. I guess we could talk about this then. Like, with that being said, the more wins they get under their belt in the next couple of weeks, do they wait a little bit more and start, and then maybe make a move down the road? Or, I mean, there was already a pass rush move made today where the Ravens gave up somebody. Do you think the Niners? Do you think they'll make a move or 2? Because they need more than 1 player. They need like 2. I'd go and see if that, crazy guy from Miami that was, Watkins, see what his legal situation is. Cause like, I wouldn't mind bringing someone like that in on the interior for a 1-year deal. And, there was some trade. I think, I forget it was a trade. I think it was a 2nd and a 4th for Trey Hendrickson. Man, that sounds awfully expensive, but like, I don't know. Well, do you think the Niners are going to like hold off this year because maybe they think they're not quite there yet? Or do you think John's going to get like we said, like where we start over, like, oh, now I'm getting like spoiled by these victories.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, well, if I could just get this guy and this guy back and maybe trade for this guy, like, is John Lynch going to fall prey to the same kind of thing where like we start reeling off wins that, barely win, and they're like, oh, if you just get a pass rusher and this guy comes back on offense, I don't know. Like, some people said that they weren't going to make any moves this year regardless, but man, they're so thin at defensive line. They kind of have to, right?
I think Lynch was yesterday or the day before, or maybe over the weekend, said that they need to earn the right to make a big swing. Right. And so if they, even if they drop the Tampa game, you have Atlanta coming up, and the only other near-term difficult game would be the Texans game. And you don't know what you're really going to get with that team, but otherwise you have, Tennessee, the Giants, the Panthers. I know the Colts look good for now, and they go there a little bit later in the year. We'll see kind of how that's going to go. And of course, Seattle and the Rams again. And we talked about Houston. I think if they can get to the trade deadline, which is 3 or 4 games from now, so let's just say 3, that's 8. I mean, if they're 6-2 I can't see why not. And you still have to just hope for the Bengals to keep tanking, right? Let the Bengals got to tank. The Giants have to tank for Thibodeau. The Dolphins have to tank for, maybe take a swing at Bradley Chubb or was it Jalen Phillips or one of the defensive ends, Carl Granderson from the Saints. There's players, and the Saints are going to keep tanking. They can't play the Giants every week. So I think there's going to be players that can be had, but someone like, a Kayvon Thibodeau from the Giants already guaranteed his 5th-year option. So they would have to work out something with the Giants where the Giants are going to have to eat that salary. Otherwise, the Niners are on the hook for a guaranteed $15 million next year. They can't swing that. Trey Hendrickson at least is just this year. I don't know what the void year looks like, and then they can kind of get it off the books. But then, the trade compensation, if I'm the Bengals, I'll be like, yeah, we're going to stink. They have 2 losable games coming up. So they'll be 2-5 after 2 weeks. But I would say, like, all right, we'll trade him, but you got to give me more than I'm going to get as a comp pick, because I'm going to get probably a 3rd for him. So you got to give me more than what a 3rd equals. So if it's a 3rd and a 5th, I mean, a 2nd and a 4th might be a little steep, but if the Niners feel like they really have a shot, I mean, 2019, Emmanuel Sanders, they make a swing for McCaffrey. They get the NFC Championship game. They trade for Trent Williams. They trade for Charles Omenihu. Like, they feel like, and not that Charles Omenihu was a piece away, but in 2019 they needed a receiver. Kyle's always needed a running back like this. They needed / Trent Williams. So I think it's going to be doable. And if they're 6-2, yes. If they're 4-4, maybe not. But how the team is playing and how they're getting healthy, there's so many unknown variables at this point. But I'm sure he's had conversations already, just kind of gauging. And why not? You're 4-1, right? Like, they're not a 1-4 team. Like, it wouldn't be wasting an asset if you think you can make a run, right? Like, and nothing's guaranteed. Jared Goff may get hurt next month. Jalen Hurts may tear his ACL. Like, who knows what's going to happen to but they're not Niners, so they don't get hurt. But who knows what can happen to derail one of these big hitters?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, I guess it just comes down to if they keep winning. That seems to be the thing. If they keep winning, they make a move at the deadline. If they don't, if they're 500 at the deadline, I don't see them doing anything. One thing I noticed, like I said, against the Rams, it's like I think Kyle is also trying to help that young defense. He was trying to help that young defense in that game because they played keep away early on. Like the Rams barely touched the ball in the first half. And of course, as soon as they did, they scored. Like, it was just no resistance whatsoever. I got to admit, Salah's got his hands full this year. He's got his hands full. Mm-hmm. All these injuries, man, these rookies, people want to keep saying that, I'm not paying enough attention to this and that. I'm like, the Niners have a talent deficit on their roster. They do. Mm-hmm. They are not very talented, other than they have a lot of offensive talent, but it's all injured.
Right.
Offensively, if they're healthy, they have a pretty dangerous offense where if I would assume they could win a game 45-35 if they had to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't have that right now. They have neither. So, if they could somehow, like I said, stabilize that injuries, start bringing some guys back, maybe you don't make a move. Maybe you just try to outscore everybody for the rest of the year. I don't know. The Rams did it in 1999. I mean, their defense was okay. It wasn't great. They just scored a gazillion points on everybody and won that way. So, to me, I don't care. If they were to win a championship and they won the game 35-32, right. I don't care. Like, one of the worst defensive performances in Niners history in the Super Bowl. So I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about style points at this point. Like, I'm not trying to win some trivia thing with, you know what I mean? I'm just like, I want them to make a move, but it's got to be, I understand, like, it's got to be smart for the future because they're still on the hook for a ton of cap space this year. So, or a cap, what do you call
dead money, dead cap.
Dead money, yeah. So I mean, they got all that to worry about still, but they still have they have a lot of money, and they probably are going to roll a lot of it over. I feel like John pulls something, it'll be something like you said, like maybe a team is willing to eat some of the salary, and the Niners give up a draft pick and they call it a day, like a Thibodeau.
Yeah,
Thibodeau to me is actually more of an attractive because he's younger. He's a younger player, but I don't know. I don't know if you can keep him either. So.
But if they're going to make a swing, it can't be for like a middling guy. Like, it can't be like a Charles Omenihu type.
No, it has to be
Jordan Willis. Like, you need an impact-ish.
You need a player like Crosby who can come in and get you 10 sacks in the second half of the season, and help you win a championship. Like, that's the level of player it's got to be. Like you said, you're right. It can't be Omenihu. It can't be like just some run of the mill like guy. I mean, like right now, I was watching some of the stuff on X and they are scraping the bottom of the barrel right now and trying to bring a defensive lineman on this team. I'm just like, oh boy.
Oh, I just, yeah. If they're down 2 more, I mean, they're going to elevate one of the defensive tackles. And I was so happy when they elevated Trevis Gibson. He was the one who recovered the first fumble when it actually went his way. And I hate doing like butterfly effect if you go back in time, how you can change stuff. But if Robert Beal's on the field instead of Trevis Gibson, maybe there's no fumble at all. Maybe it's not recovered. Maybe he's not even in that position to do it. I've seen enough of the Robert Beal experiment to know that like he's just a guy. And I'm sure Trevis Gibson is just a guy too. But let me at least let him prove or not prove that he's just a guy. Like Robert Beal, he's been inactive so much. And when he's been on the field, it's, he's a 4th or 5th defensive end. There's no shame in that. But now when your defensive end 4 needs to play like DN3 because Bosa's out, or now like DN2 because Yator is going to be out. There needs to be some sort of like literally you got to take next man up and step your game up quite literally. And I don't know what it's going to, it's only, we're recording this Tuesday night. I wouldn't be shocked if they brought somebody in from the street, but if they do that, then like someone's gonna have to go on IR. Like there's just no roster spot. Even if Malik Mustafa comes back, someone's got to get cut or go on IR. Like they'd have to figure that out. Hopefully that decision's maybe at least a week away. I don't think there's any need to totally rush him back.
This isn't a topic of mine, but who leaves the lineup if Mustafa comes back? Who are you taking out? I'm taking out Siegel.
I wonder if Jordan Watkins goes on IR. Like that's a possibility. Does Curtis Robinson get cut because he was one of the last elevations? If they feel that Brock, say Mustafa comes back in 2 weeks and they feel like both Brock and Purdy are healthy enough, they can release Martinez and then sign him back to the practice squad. So they have 7 receivers on the active roster right now. One has to go at some point, and another probably has to go when Aiyuk comes back.
Yeah, my MDS is my guy to move.
Yep.
Yeah, like he's done nothing. He's totally replaceable.
I'm with you. I don't know who he's blackmailing that he's on that roster.
I heard a story. I was gonna upload I was gonna tweet it or retweet it, then use it as part of the show. But I was listening to Feliciano. He's on the radio. They interviewed him, and he was talking about the situation that happened last year, with Debo pretty much saying tighten up to Jake Moody.
Yeah.
And our long snapper, and he's one of the things he said was special teams guys tend to be like the softer kind of males, which is something that I always thought. And I said to my brother, I was like, man, Moody is so soft, bro. Like his body language just screams like beta male. And it's so funny because the last thing I wanted to ask you real quick is the complete juxtaposition to Eddie Pinheiro. I freaking love this guy already. He's making big kicks and he's cocky. He has an edge to him, and I think that's just fantastic. And just any thoughts?
They had him in camp a couple of years ago, right? And at that point, he still was probably a top 5 kicker in terms of field goal accuracy percentage. But the wasting of the kick on Moody, like the Moody draft pick was the reason why big arm quarterbacks get drafted in the first round or number 1 overall. Even if they're inaccurate, even if they're Anthony Richardson, it's the talent. It's not like Moody had a bad career.
Yeah, like Trey Lance. Oh wow, look at that arm. Look at the mobility. 6'4". He's a big bodied guy. None of that stuff matters.
Potential gets people fired if it's not realized, especially when it's a pick that high. So when you have, not to say you can take any kicker off the street or whatever, but when you had Pinheiro in here and they decided not to go with them, it's like, is accuracy a problem? Like what? And I mean, I think we were both shocked, and probably a lot of the viewers as well, when they tried a Pinheiro out there for that 59-yarder.
I didn't think he was going to make it.
This guy's like a coin flip 50+ yard kicker, and I don't know if he has the leg for this. And that would have been good from like 64. The way he it doesn't get. I like
even the kick that he almost missed was like it's just such a difference. I have a different feeling now at the end of games. I'm like, oh, they might actually make this. Like before with Moody, it was like I knew he was going to miss, and then you see that shucks little where he'd squish into his helmet, and oh man, I'm like, oh man, if I was a fellow somebody in that locker room, that dude's not safe around me. I'd kill him.
Well, but of course it had to start in Seattle with him missing his first kick on an extra point. And then
kicking a ball out of bounds.
Yes.
What are we doing?
The new chapter just can't start well. It's got to give us some semblance of crap and doubt. And
I didn't think they were going to make that move, though. I was like, well, we won the game. I always tell my brother, I was like, for real change to happen, it has to get as worse as possibly can be. And because he's a Dolphins fan, I'm like, you want it to go as worse as possible.
Yep.
Because then the decision is a no-brainer. Anytime you win a game or two at the end of a bad season, then all of a sudden, maybe things aren't really that bad, and maybe we just bring back this guy, or he was making a couple kicks at the end of last year, or whatever. Maybe it's because he was hurt, and I just like when it fails miserably, because then it's like, all right, clean slate, cut him off, it's over with. So
they did the right thing. They should have done it in the preseason, right? Whether it was a fake competition with Greg Joseph or not. They should have.
I totally thought it was. I thought it was phony as hell. I didn't think it was a real competition.
Yeah, I think Kyle's been on the record saying like, oh, even with my dad when we were coaching in Washington, we didn't want to release Graham Gano. We didn't want him to go somewhere else and be a better kicker. They did. He went to Carolina, got the richest contract for a kicker at the time. But is kicker the position you're worried about the player going on and being good somewhere else? Wouldn't it be actually someone who touches the ball a whole lot more? Like you held on to Jake Moody longer than you held on to Trey Lance. Like what? Why is that? Because Trey Lance was a baby and he pouted when he lost the backup role to Sam Darnold and wanted to get traded. But
along with all of his fans and followers that we know about, who all pouted and made complain when he lost the battle too, like he's deserving.
and any shade that they throw at Brock now is just still being butthurt about the Trey Lance stuff.
That's all it is.
You can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah, because I asked somebody something. I tweeted something that I said is I don't follow this person. I don't follow this person's tweet. He's blocking my thing, but I'm sure he's talking ass right now about it might have been the game against the Jaguars, blah, 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 blah. And the person responded, oh yeah, you have no idea. Like, so they were just like waiting for that Jaguars game to happen. So it is what it is.
I'm with you.
Hey man, thanks for coming on the show.
That was a quick hour, man. Holy cow.
Yeah. I love to keep doing this. I know your time is always tight and Tuesdays. I mean, I can do the Tuesdays. I just have to it's got to be at a weird time, like 9:15 or something. But
okay.
I have
Tuesdays are better than Mondays are just a scramble with kid stuff, but Tuesday is sort of an open day ish right now. For whatever reason.
Empire State of My podcast is like it's like it's just WIP, man. It's just work in progress. It's just hard to get people to do stuff on Monday, and it's so I have like a floating co-host. Like every week, it's a different time and a different person. So maybe that's just how it's got to be. But appreciate you coming on, man. Everybody who was in here earlier, X or on YouTube, thanks so much. I will see you next week. I don't know with who, and I don't know what time, but I'll be here. Everybody, take care.
Thanks a lot.
Hey, man.